Violence is a serious problem. On average, about 268 citizens every day are being killed. People are more concerned with whether or not they can keep a gun in their house and carry it to Walmart. While it's important to still have your Second Amendment rights, people's safety comes before whether or not you can have a gun. Since 1950, every single public mass shooting, with the exception of one, has happened where people are banned from carrying guns. So the statistics is the law doesn't apply to people who want to cause harm to someone. It doesn't matter how many times you say you can't have a gun. It doesn't matter the restrictions on guns or the free market, anything that you can restrict, it's not going to make a difference. In reality, we need to have psych evals. We need to have safety classes. It's just something that has to happen.
The States has 88.8 guns per 100 people. That is about 270 million guns. That is a lot of guns. 22% of Americans own guns, and I think we should elevate that to maybe 50 plus. But I believe the laws themselves should be delegated to the state, or reserved to the states.
You know, there's a problem when there used to be more car accident deaths, and now there's more deaths by guns. This is what we have to change. We should have put stricter laws on gun laws. People can't get them that easily. That's it.
Okay. Go.
Yes. We're live.
Okay, so I believe that in order to get a gun, you should be forced to take a psych evaluation, and you should pay for this yourself when you get the gun. It is your right to have a gun for home defense because in this country, the average time it takes for a police respond is around 9 minutes. So for personal protection, I say there's nothing wrong with owning a gun. However, I could see limits on very large capacity clips that give you like 30 rounds per go. I could also see a harsher tax on handguns. And the reason I say this is because in 2009, the most recent year I could find statistics for, there were 6,501 homicides committed with handguns. Alternatively, there were 774 committed with rifles and shotguns put together. That means that there were 8 times as many homicides committed with handguns than rifles and shotguns put together. Over twice as many were killed with knives than rifles and shotguns put together.
It's very important that we do have stricter gun laws. Although the Second Amendment is a very important amendment, obviously, I think it's so sad that we can see things like Sandy Hook happening where a kid just goes to school, is going to the first grade, and a man can show up with a gun and just shoot them in the head, and then 20-some kids die for no reason. I think we have to have restrictions on it. It is not acceptable for kids to go to school and be shot. It is not acceptable for kids to just go out in the world and have to worry about being shot every day.
Yes.
All right, there you just go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As far as school shootings go, I think that schools are not well enough defended. Frankly, the process in which they teach you in school to deal with the shooter is hide in a corner, and no one has a weapon. Your only defense is a locked door. I personally realize that as president, this isn't directly my thing. It's more of a local and state thing. However, I would say that, in my opinion, schools should have a metal detector, at least to prevent students from bringing weapons to school. For example, I could bring a weapon to school any given day if I really chose to, because this particular school and thousands of schools across the country just like it don't have any real security. Over 40% of school shootings happen from students. That is the largest body. The shooters and the majority of school shootings are students, and they bring it from home. And I say that the school should have a method to keep those out of their building. I could also see if schools had at least some form of defense, even if it was just a local police officer assigned to the school, during the day weeks, that would be nice. But it's a local and state issue.
The United States is the only well-developed country that has this many school shootings, if I'm correct. And I don't think it's exactly a security issue with the schools, because there are countries like Great Britain and Australia who cracked down on their gun laws when school shootings started happening, or any massive shootings started happening, and now their shootings have declined by a large amount. So I feel like that's more of the issue than this, although security for schools is important too.
I'm actually going to disagree with you, Courtney, because you're practically saying that America is not as strict as Great Britain and all that. If you think about it, Great Britain and all Australia and all Europe is more proper than America, and we're more lazy. And that is why there's more gun violence here in America than Great Britain. And with our police officers, like what Jay said, in the schools, we shouldn't have police officers. I believe that we should have retired military with actual gun experience, and not just an amateur who says that they're a police officer.
Well,
You
why
think
do
police
you
officers
think
are
it's okay that
amateurs?
amateurs get gun though? guns, so you don't wanna restrict people from getting, like, amateurs.
No, I'm not saying that, I'm saying like, with police officers, like, such as Valley Center, they have a small town mentality, thinking that they're so good compared to sheriffs, and that's why they come, like, for example, they come out here when there's a problem, when technically they're not supposed to, it's supposed to be sheriffs, it's a small town mentality.
Well, I don't understand the lazy argument, can you, all I said is that it's stricter gun laws, because that's a fact they do, it is so much harder to get a gun in Australia and Great Britain. I didn't say anything about the American work ethic, that has nothing to do with what I said.
By lazy, I mean like, we just go out and get a gun, but there's no actual strict laws. Which we shouldn't have strict laws, but compared to
So we
Britain
should be
and
lazy?
compared to Britain and Australia, it's more of a reasonable, I guess, argument. But because of military, I mean, with restricting the guns and all that, what about the people in the military? They're supposed to give their guns back that they bought personally, and
It's their job to protect us, it's not some crazy person's job to shoot up a
yeah,
school,
yeah, but
that's different.
even if they're retired, I mean, technically they're still not in the military. They're retired.
I'm not saying we need to take away everyone's guns, that's not what I'm saying, I said we need stricter laws so crazy people cannot get guns. We cannot have private gun shows. That is not an okay thing, for people to just buy their guns.
When you say
Out.
private gun shows, is your objection having the show or that
There's
the
no
ease of
regulation.
buying the gun?
The ease of buying a gun, there's no regulation.
More of a question towards Ty, would you rather be able to have a gun with you at any given time or have people killed every day? Because on average, about 268 citizens are killed every day.
I'd much rather have a gun with me because you can protect yourself a lot better
So you
than
don't
having
want
to
to
wait on people.
So your concerns aren't with the safety of people, it's with your own personal safety?
Yes.